Yo, second video. I'm gonna talk about Maino, the Brooklyn rapper from Bed-Stuy. Over there by Clifton area over there. This nigga Maino literally has a Maino day in his hood. I don't know why, but people out there, they support him. Like, he has a Maino day, which is crazy. Pardon me with the noise. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Um, Maino, he has two big hits like High Hater and the one with T-Pain, which is a uplifting song. I like it. That's like one of my little workout songs and shit. I still bump it, here and there. Maino, I feel like Maino is like a big bully. I remember he had some issues with Young Berg, Big Sean, I remember clear as day he choked out some white nigga on a TV show named Andrew Jinx. And yeah, Maino, also Queen's Flip. He be fucking around with Queen's Flip. Him and Queen's Flip are they cool, they best friends and shit. But I feel like sometimes Maino be trying to force, be trying to overdo it. Be trying to bully people, and he does it to certain people. But like a nigga like Rod Diggs, Maino not gonna get on that type of timing because from what I heard is that when Rod Diggs is out, Maino was scared to death of Rod Diggs, and at one point Rod Diggs chased Maino's brother Mouse out the studio, and his brother Mouse was like, "Yo, chill, wasn't like that," and Rod Diggs, he was not hearing that shit. You know what I'm saying? But and even with that nigga Alpo, the nigga that got killed in Harlem, Maino, after that nigga Alpo got killed in Harlem, Maino, he has had the biggest confidence of all. Now sometimes he still talks about Alpo, excuse me. And I'm pretty sure Maino's kind of happy that Alpo got killed. You know, um, Maino running around with Capo, Fabulous, and that nigga East is the four amigos. They always hang out together. They just be talking. They always hanging out, which is no problem. You know what I mean? But people say that Maino's a hater. I mean, I don't know. I don't know Maino personally, and he had a couple of issues with a lot of people, like with Troy Ave, all that shit. But I'm not gonna get into that. As far as today, Maino, he's a good rapper. I know he had the Lobby Boys with Capo. I heard I heard that shit. I think it was a mixtape or something like that. It was cool. Certain songs. At one point he was fucking with Murder. Him and Uncle Murder, they had a fell out. I don't know why. That's none of my business. But Uncle Murder, the nigga from East New York, Pink Houses, I fuck with him. But now, Murder fucking with 50 now. And he eating with Fifth, which is cool. Shit. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Speaking of Fifth, I don't even think Fifth fuck with me, That's crazy, man. Yeah, man, Maino T. Also, I think he's on he works with Angela Yee on her talk show and shit. So they be sitting down and shit talking, blah blah blah, this that and the third. But yeah, man, Maino, you a funny ass nigga, man. You be picking your fights when when Boxing Bar, no disrespect, when he opens your face like a Ziploc, it was over with. Up there, in jail and all that, ain't none of my business. But That's what I heard. And the nigga boxing ball, he was really a boxer. And he went and got you in your chair, some shit like that. I don't know, boom that in the third, boom boom boom. And he left a permanent scar on your face, for life. I'm talking for life. Because once you get cut up there, that's for life. That's like when niggas leave a cut on your face, it's like, yeah, I did it, nigga, and it's there for life. I want you to, every time you look in the mirror, I want you to think of me and remember me of what I did to you, and that's your permanent, your permanent, your permanent punishment for life until the day you die. And that's what boxing ball did to Maino, man. But Maino, he pick and choose his fights. He choked. Oh, I forgot. He choked another nigga out. What's that YouTuber? I think he like Nigerian or African or some shit. But yeah, you type that shit on YouTube, you can see it come up and all that. But yeah, man. A lot of people in Maino's hood, they don't fuck with him, and some people do. I'm not gonna get into his jail shit of him, doing I think 10 years or something like that. He did a lot of time behind the wall for some nonsense that he did when he was younger. But like I said, that's I ain't none of my business. But at the same time, I do fuck with Maino, with certain music and shit. Um, the music he had with Uncle Murder was good. I remember that. And then the one with Capo was cool, you know. And I remember when Maino had I think his podcast called the kitchen or some shit. It was like a couple of years ago. I mean, you could look it up on YouTube. Just type in Maino the kitchen or some shit. His podcast. I don't know what happened to that. His podcast like flopped. Um, I don't know why, but it is what it is. And then I remember when Maino sat down with Favi and what's the other nigga name from the Bronx? Not Dougie B. What's the other nigga name, son? Fuck. Not Dougie B. Not K Flock. Look Dominican, yo. I forgot his name. It was Maino, Favi, and was that he looked Dominican? I forgot his name, man. Fuck. But I remember when they did that meeting with what you call it, with the Mayor Adams on stopping the violence and drill music. I like when Maino be talking about talking real shit about stopping the drill shit and stopping violence and this, that, and the third, which is cool. But then sometimes he talks about violence in his music. Sometimes in different songs. So in certain interviews when Maino do be talking, I listen, and he be saying some real shit. Like seeing his own people locked up, and when he was on I'm not gonna say a lot of YouTubers' names and shit, but different platforms. I remember when he cried. You could type in Maino crying, and he's talking about what's the reason why behind him crying. And I when I was listening to that interview, I could totally relate, and I felt where he was coming from. And yeah, man, Maino, at the end of the day, he's the OG. He's way older than me, so I gotta try to listen. And I just like listening, trying to take advice from the big people that came before me, you know. But yeah, man, with that being said, man, I'm gonna take my ass to sleep, son. always do these videos late before I go to sleep, and then when I talk, I start stuttering and shit, and then I can't get my words out, and I can't process my sentences and shit like that. But fuck it though, it's a video. Um, with that being said, y'all pray for me, man. I'm gonna take my ass to sleep, my black ass to sleep, leap, 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 leap. I'm fucking with y'all, man. Y'all pray for me. I'll see y'all in my next video. I'm out. Peace.